This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris. Welcome to Come for Tea.
During the holidays when we have friends in for tea, it's always nice to serve something that's a little seasonal, and these glazed cranberry orange scones will be perfect. Now these scones are made entirely in the mixer, which is kind of nice, and so what you're going to want to do is measure out 2 cups of flour and put that in your mixer. And then we're going to add just a little bit of sugar. We're going to add 3 tablespoons, so put that in, and then 1 tablespoon of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then get 1 large orange and using your microplaner, drag it across the top and get all the zest off. Now for me, it's this orange zest that I'm going to put not only in the scones but in the glaze as well that makes these scones just fantastic. So go ahead and pop that into the dry ingredients and then just let the mixer kind of mix all that together. Then we're going to get 6 tablespoons of butter and we're going to want to cube it. So you cut it in half lengthwise a couple of times and then gather those together and cut them in little squares like this. And it just helps it get dispersed through the flour a little bit. So go ahead, put that in. And then with the paddle, we're going to drop it down. It's just going to take a couple of minutes, 2 or 3. And pretty soon we're going to have little pea-sized shaped butter throughout the flour, which is what we want. Now we're going to measure out our cranberries, and we're using dry cranberries, so it's important that they're nice and fresh. And we're going to measure out 3/4 cup, and we're going to pop those into the flour. And the reason we're going to do that is we want to coat the cranberries with flour. So just let it spin maybe 2 or 3 times. That's it. Then we're going to get our liquid ready, and so we're going to get 1/2 cup of milk, any kind you like, and then we're going to get 2 eggs ready. And remember, I like to crack it into a small bowl and then transfer it over to a larger bowl just in case of any shell. And then we're just going to put those liquid ingredients right into our mixer. Now just let this go until it all comes together. Don't overbeat. Then we're going to get our baking sheet and put a piece of parchment on top of it, and then we're going to lightly dust that with a little bit of flour. And then we're going to go ahead, we're actually going to form the scones right here on the baking sheet. So just go ahead and scoop them out of the mixer. It's a very wet dough, so we are going to be using some flour not only on the tops of the scones but in our hands, and I'm just going to press this out. What I'm looking to do is press this out into a nice circle, and it's going to be about 3/4 inch thick. Make sure you use flour just enough, but there's no need to have it sticking to your hands. And we want it to end up being about a 9-inch in diameter circle. Then I like to go ahead and perforate the scones. So I get my large chef's knife, and if you see what I do is I kind of roll the knife through the dough. I'm not separating them, but I want to go ahead and perforate these scones into 8 pieces. Then we're going to pop these into the oven at 400 degrees and we're going to let them bake for about 20 minutes. And when they come out, they're just going to be golden brown like this. And I want to immediately pull them off the baking sheet and let them start to cool down. Now that the scones are out of the oven, I'm going to go ahead and start making the glaze for the topping. And I'm going to get 2 ounces of some softened cream cheese. And you can use light or regular, whichever you'd like. And I'm going to use my spoon to kind of mash it out a little bit. Then I'm going to get an orange, and I'm going to go ahead and squeeze out about 2 tablespoons of fresh orange juice. And I'm going to add that to the cream cheese. Now this next part is going to be a little odd looking, but what I want to do is take my spoon and start mixing as best I can that cream cheese into the orange juice. Now, it's going to seem like this is never going to go, but if you just take a couple of minutes and just kind of work it in, what you're really doing is you're kind of breaking down that cream cheese to make it just a little bit more liquidy. And it's funny, this adding just this little bit of cream cheese to glaze totally gets rid of that powdered sugar flavor, which is something I don't really care for in a lot of glazes. But you can see as I work this, I'm really starting to liquefy the cream cheese a bit. Then I'm going to go ahead and add 1 cup of powdered sugar, and I don't even bother sifting or anything. I'm just going to use my spoon, and I'm just going to really work it, and pretty soon the lumps start to come out and I'm getting this nice thick glaze. And then to really get that punch of orange flavor, I get 1 more orange and I take the zest off of it. And not only does it just bring this incredible orange flavor, but it brings that nice bright orange color into the glaze. Now it's time to glaze the scones, and we want to glaze them while they're still warm. So just bring them on over and start spooning the glaze all over the top. Now you can see this is a very thick glaze. It's not really moving all of that much. So once I get a nice amount of glaze on the scones, then I go ahead and I use my offset spatula and I just move it around so that it glazes it nicely all over the top. Now, when you get ready to serve these, just go ahead and get a cake knife out, and because we've already perforated the scones, you just run your knife on either side, and then you can just pull them out, and they make these perfect little triangles. Well, whether you're having these scones with just a cup of tea or you're having a full-blown afternoon tea, you will not be disappointed. The combination of the cranberries, which are very tart, paired with that orange zest is just tremendous. And you don't have to worry about it being too sour because we have that great orange glaze on top.
For more information on this episode, go to our website and visit the Come for Tea show notes. Also, if you have any questions or ideas, send us an email. Thanks for watching. It's time for tea.